Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the Eritrean invasion of northern Tigray and the continued civil war taking place inside the former state of Ethiopia. So, what is happening today on the ground, November 22nd, in the ongoing war taking place inside the Tigray region and to some extent outside of the Tigray region as well? Well, it appears that the despotic state of Eritrea, the Eritrean army, Isaias Afwerki, at this point would like to annex or at least control northern Tigray. The Eritrean army has moved significant forces into northern Tigray. We had the first failed invasion that took place in late 2020, followed by the eviction of Eritrean forces in 2021, followed by the second invasion, hosted by Abiy Ahmed, the two allies in this ongoing conflict. It is very difficult for the state of Eritrea, the Eritrean army, to simply pull out of northern Tigray with nothing to show for the efforts and the expense and the cost that the Eritrean state, has put into these efforts. If the Eritrean military withdraws from northern Tigray, all of its efforts, again, that it has provided in support of Abiy Ahmed and its own desires to crush the Tigray region, to eliminate the TPLF, to eliminate the Tigrayan Defense Forces, would be all for naught. That is why it is incredibly imperative for the Tigrayan Defense Forces not to disarm. If the Tigrayan Defense Forces disarm, even if the Eritrean army moves back into Eritrea, what is it to stop the Eritrean military from moving back in to northern Tigray or even Mekelle or other areas, southern Tigray? And the answer to that would be nothing. The Abiy loyalist forces, without the support of the Eritrean army, is an incompetent, dysfunctional fighting force. The only saving grace that the Abiy loyalist forces have at this point are the advanced drone systems that have been provided by Turkey and China, the United Arab Emirates, and to some extent the Iranians and its Air Force. Its bomb trucks, its Su-27 bomb trucks. But its fighting force, its divisional forces, infantry, armored formations, mechanized, motorized formations, are incredibly incompetent, that have very, very poor leadership. The Eritrean army has been the force that has allowed the Abiy loyalist forces not to be utterly defeated. If it were not for the Eritrean army entering northern Tigray, the military situation right now on the ground in the Amhara region, in the Tigray region, would in all probability look much different. So if the Eritrean army withdraws into northern Tigray, into Eritrea, and the Tigrayan defense forces do not disarm, and the status quo continues, then that is the conundrum that we are facing right now in terms of the two sides coming to any sort of agreement. And that's why, in all likelihood, that the current agreements, the current discussions that took place in South Africa are just a fiasco. If the Tigrayan Defense Forces lay down its heavy weapons, lay down its light weapons, in all probability, you are talking about, at some point, an extinction level event will take place. Without a doubt, at some point, something will happen, and the Eritrean army will march back into the Tigray region, or it simply will never leave, and it will have to be forced out through military operations. And that's in all likelihood where we're heading today. Again, you are not dealing with a normal nation state. There are a few, but a handful of nation states in the entire planet that act the way, both externally and internally, as does the state of Eritrea. You're looking at a North Korea-esque nation state. If things looked a little differently in terms of the surrounding entities around the Tigray region, then I would say there could be the possibility of acquiescence. There could be the possibility of discussions about normalization. But given what exists in Eritrea, given what now exists inside the former state of Ethiopia with Abiy Ahmed, following in line with Isaias Afwerki, his mentor, again, disarming the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and I say this again, is risking an extinction level event. As a nation state, which Tigray de facto is, a fully autonomous, semi-independent region, would see itself put at incredible risk by not being able to defend itself. So we're continuing to watch what is happening on the ground very, very closely. We could see the resumption of military operations by both sides in the coming days. But again, the very unlikely outcome that we would see the Tigrayan Defense Forces demobilize and lay down its weapons with a knife to the throat of the Tigray region would be incredibly remote at this point. Incredibly remote. So that's where we sit today. We will continue to watch and report. We are continuing to watch the continued operations by the Oromo Liberation Army. Again, the OLA has been very successful in recent days and recent weeks against the Abiy loyalist formations, especially in Western Oromia. So we'll continue to watch that and report on that as we get more information. I appreciate the information that is being sent by our contacts in Western Oromia and other locales as well. So again, we will have more to come very, very soon covering the OLA and what is happening in Oromia. Again, thank you for joining us today. More to come very, very soon, followed by another video on what is happening in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Have a good day, everybody.